From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 272 of From the Middle, a comedy, culture, entertainment, and interview-style podcast hosted by three middle-class guys living in the middle of America in the middle chapters of their lives with a point of view that generally falls somewhere in the middle. If you had a red, yellow, or green indicator light to let people know around you if you were doing badly, meh, or great, what color would your light be? That's today's question. Some of us are coming in a little differently. We talk a lot about technology in this week's episode as it relates to how it makes our kids' sports more engaging and viewable, as well as generative AI and our thoughts on that, and the new operating system for iPhone, the superior phone. Not official endorsement. Another super technical subject, poaching eggs. I'm just kidding. Projects going on around our home, closing our pools for the season. It's a sad day, but we're moving into fall and we are excited about it. Do you know anything about the app Lemonade? Let us know. Enjoy this week's episode. We always love hanging out with you.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
Another week with the boys. How we doing, fellas?
Sometimes we go into these conversations all happy and go lucky, which is where I'm sure you two are. Other times it's like, oh my goodness, things are exploding. Let's record a podcast.
Well, you're always welcome to just be like, hey guys.
I know you guys. I know. Yeah, and this will be good. We have a kid who's being a little emotional right now, and struggling through something. And I did take some time of recording a little later than we normally would have, and I took some time to sit down. And then I met with the other two, all three of them together, and said, "Hey guys, can you help? Can you help your sibling out?" And they came up with some good ideas, and now they're off trying to be kind to each other. So
you delegated,
that way,
you empowered.
I think this is working.
There you go. You delegated and empowered them to be able to handle the situation.
Hopefully. We'll see.
And if not, it's going to make for some really good content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real talk. Sometimes there are weeks where it's like, I just had a big fight with my spouse before recording.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put on a smile because it's what's the professional thing to do. And sometimes you do that well and you feign it well. And sometimes they're like, something's going on with Corey this week. Work stuff, kid stuff. Hey, life is life. And it's okay. We're authentic. That's what we're about. But yeah, I wish we could all be on the same tip because it sometimes feels like I'm stressed out or like in a funk and you guys are up. But maybe that's the beautiful part of our triangle is that we can lift one another up in the times when somebody's struggling in some fashion. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I know Dylan's stressed with work stuff, but you're hanging in. Proud of you.
No big deal.
I was super stressed a couple weeks ago and I'm like, I can't handle any of it. And Dylan's like, why don't I handle Instagram for a few weeks? Until things, which it's not that heavy a lift, right? It's just posting an image, Kendall's super thoughtful write-ups, and some hashtags. But I was like, I can't handle any more of it.
Yeah, here's a tip of the week. If you want a good excuse to cry, just go find some onions to cut. And then you can sob uncontrollably and blame it on the onions. So
that's right.
Go do that.
Emotionally attached to your onions.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than that, Kendall, thank you for joining. But if you have to go, you have to go. We love you. We're here for you. And you're a great dad and husband. You're doing a great job. And we're really proud of you.
Well, we'll see. I just pawned off an emotional kid to other kids so that I could go hang out with my friends. That's what I just did. Speaking of doing things for your kids, here's something new going on this week. I've gone dairy free. And this is all coming because Lydia, our girl, has been having some tummy issues and things for the past few weeks. And I just gave the thumbs up to some Pop-Tarts. So that's what they did. They're eating there. So that's anyway. Lydia's been having tummy problems. And one of the things we want to try is knocking out dairy for a week and just see if that changes anything. Something that like an allergist is probably going to ask us to try something like that anyway. And so just getting ahead of that one. And it was a little difficult talking to her about that and like thinking about here's some of the things that you're not going to be able to eat, because in her little like 9-year-old brain, it's this is forever. Mm-hmm. Potentially forever. So that like, no more pizza and everything else. Don't put cheese on the burger. And so I offered to do it along with her. And it's changed some things and about my daily routine, obviously. And I have nothing but respect for people who have to go through life without dairy because it is tricky to avoid. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You can't have an English muffin. English muffins have dairy. You can't eat most wheat breads, but white breads often are okay. But even then you have to be careful. And the things that I'm finding out that have dairy in them, donuts, almost universally dairy. Can't do donuts. You can't just order eggs at a restaurant because they're probably cooking them in butter. So that's a little adventure that I've got going on.
Well, you're a better man than I for agreeing to go on the journey with her. Our oldest, Lily, when she was smaller, had some tummy issues. Mm-hmm. And we did the whole process of elimination thing. Let's try cutting out gluten. Then let's try cutting out dairy. And then what other things might she be allergic to? When they did a scan of her intestines, they were like, oh, she's like backed up in her intestines to like the middle of her body. She's backed all the way back up. Wow. She has to be in what would be equivalent of like labor-like pains. And our clue that something was up was Lily was saying, my tummy hurts. And Lily almost never complains about pain or being sick at all. So the fact that she said anything was a clue. And one doctor who we didn't really agree with, and now we're really getting into the weeds of our children's medical stuff, was like, oh, she might be one of those kids that just has to go on Miralax for the rest of their lives. And we were like, that doesn't feel like a solution. That feels like a workaround. We found out that if she cut out gluten and cut out dairy, she does a lot better. So she just tries to avoid it as much as possible, within reason. It's not like if you have any, you're ruined. But she does better and feels better if she avoids a lot of gluten and a lot of dairy. So for what that's worth. But yeah, when they did that little scan and they're like, she's got poop all the way like up, like backed up into her whole system. Yeah. Poor kid. Oof. So
doesn't she work in an ice cream shop?
She does now. Yeah. She does now.
Is she able to just avoid, for the most part, eating the ice cream?
Yeah, she does a pretty good job.
Maybe that's the one way to never want ice cream. Maybe. I doubt that's true. But
it didn't work for Dylan working at Taco Bell, and it didn't work for me working at Arby's because I love me some roast beef.
Ooh, that is one place, by the way, where I don't have to change up my normal order at all to go to Arby's. Lydia and I found that out together. So,
and with inflation at fast food restaurants, you pay a small fortune.
Mhm.
now because our Arby's was already expensive. Uh,
Yeah. Well, we went BOGO on the classic roast beef sandwich, her and I, for lunch.
now my mouth is
That worked
watering for
out.
some Arby's. Dylan, what's new with you, my man? How's your week going?
It's just kind of busy season for the work that I'm in. So, yeah, just working through all of those things. It's funny, we talked about like starting things out and being on the same page. One thing we're trying to incorporate more is in meetings at the start is green light, yellow light, red light. So, how are you feeling coming into this meeting? Which I'm sure lots of people have done that or something similar in different businesses. But it is helpful sometimes just to get a sense of like, if somebody's like, full stop, I'm a red, it's like, oh, they might not be super open and wanting to like cooperate and like work together on things today. So they might be a little more quiet or whatever. So it is helpful. I don't know what that means to us here, but has been a fun practice. And so yeah, doing okay, busy. We finally got some rain in our Ohio, so
Oof.
we're not dealing with the drought. I mean, we are, but at least we got some rain or a couple days of rain. That actually normally would be something people would be upset about, and I'm very happy that it's a little bit cooler and quite a bit more rainy. So that's definitely a positive. We've got that going.
We do.
Curious about your red light, yellow light, green light thing. Is that meant to be specific to work stuff, life stuff, or people can answer however they feel?
Sure. If a couple wants to use that going into a discussion about something, they could totally do that. But in regards to how we use it, it could be anything, and somebody can choose to elaborate if they want, but they don't have to. It's just a general sense of like, how are you feeling about, just overall attitude coming into the meeting today?
I
Yeah.
think
It's the boss turns the chair around, flips his hat backwards, and
right.
sits there. Guys, real talk.
How you doing, champ?
I just want to know how you're doing.
Yeah.
This is safe. Share as much or as little as you want. No pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He has to turn around his chair backwards and rest his arms
Yeah.
on the backrest like AC Slater used to do
Yeah.
and Saved
Yeah.
by the Bell. Like I need for him to do that when he does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, we're not talking about a real person. This is now a creation of our imagination as we're working through what this theoretical boss is like.
Also,
Mhm.
probably super helpful for the robots in the virtual room to be able to just have an indicator light on their display, of which so they don't even have to ask. You already can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Simple,
great.
effective, great for robots.
We have we facilitate workshops with executives and lots of different personalities in the rooms. And one of the things we always try to be really thoughtful about is the icebreaker. A lot of thought goes into the icebreaker of a given workshop. Sometimes you could cleverly use the industry that the customer is in. So if it's the automotive industry, like tell us about your favorite car experience in 3 sentences or whatever. Doesn't have to be your first car, just a favorite or memorable car experience. Or maybe you want to share something about your family or you have a new driver. So we try to include their industry in a given icebreaker. But those icebreakers, as corny as they can be, do a really good job of signaling to the facilitator and the rest of the room how somebody is showing up that day. So I
Mhm.
like your red light, yellow light, green light, whatever works for you. Maybe we start doing that at the beginning of our podcasts so that listeners know if they can't already tell and don't listen loyally where we're kind of coming from in a given day.
Yeah, what's our headspace? We should probably start doing that before hitting the record button at first and see how it goes. And then if we want
Yeah.
to implement it later, we can.
And maybe we
I feel
decide, you know
like
what? Based on that, we're all red lights. We're not recording today.
maybe we just go ahead and hit the record button
Yeah.
anyway, because you just never know.
Be some of our best content, probably.
Turns
Uh,
out when we're all red lights, we get very angry and very funny.
That could be.
we did learn that time of day, time of recording is a variable that we want to consider. We used to do like 10 p.m. all the time. Remember we'd meet in studio at like night and
Yeah.
then those were fun, but not as fun for virtual, we've found. And this afternoon thing is kind of working for us. Anyway, too much inside baseball. Speaking of colored lights and customizable features, we got off of the episode last week and we all kind of said, why didn't we talk more about iOS 18?
Yes.
There's a lot of fun stuff with the new operating system for people who choose to have real phones. And there's, by the way, some recent converts in Kendall and I's life. Some people who are diehard Android people started showing up blue. And you know who you are. But anyway, it's pretty exciting. Like, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about a new operating system on a podcast but there's some pretty fun stuff. What are some things that have stood out to you guys as you've been playing with 18?
Yeah, and first of all, if you don't know, you should download on your phone. If you have an iPhone, there's the Tips app. You probably had it and deleted it, or you have it and you buried it somewhere. But if you pull up the Tips app, there's a section that's called What's New in iOS 18. And then it gives you all kinds of little helpful pointers of new things that you can look at. So you should do that. And that's usually how I go in and learn when there's a major iOS update and play around. But I have to say a couple things, and you can kind of see on my screen here.
So clean.
The invert colors, removing the names under the apps makes the apps a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And not only can you like do the invert color, but you can go to a color theme if you wanted to go like all blue. Oh, like Kendall's. It's lovely. This is
I'm
why
a
you should
golden
follow us
black
on
baby.
YouTube.
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever. This is one of the things, unfortunately, where Android users go, oh, so you guys finally can customize your your home screen.
Yeah, and to all of the Android has done that forever. There's doing it first and there's doing it best. So anyways, lots of new fun features, but I think the color thing is probably my favorite. And then also in text, you can now react with emojis, but you can pick which emoji. It's not just the 5 or 6 locked ones. There's lots of different options, which I really like way better. There's probably other things, but those are a couple big ones.
I got most excited and I'm sharing mine now, when you click the volume buttons, it does a little bump.
Yeah. I didn't even know that until you texted that to us, and then immediately I tried it. I was like, whoa.
Which is such a stupid little thing, but I was like, oh, that's fun. Look at that.
Fun. It's fun.
So yeah, I still gotta play with it more and do the color thing and the invert and the takeaway titles, but it's just so clean. I just love the UI design.
And the new iPhone coming out is going to have a camera button. A new button. Yeah.
There you go. Big deal. It is fun. There's a certain one thing we've always talked about with video games, that's also true here. Anytime people can really customize and lean into their personality, it's almost always a good thing. You can certainly take it too far, but I think that's one thing where you could say Apple probably can let other people do things first and then read the room and see what people really love and invest into doing that and trying to do it better, versus just throwing all features, up against the wall to see what sticks. And so that's one thing that, not that it's perfect and never buggy, but that's one thing I think they do well. Like, let's read the room on stuff other people are doing and pick the most popular stuff. And so I think they've done that really nicely. So yeah, we don't typically dig into like iOS, but it is fun because it's been so long. The phones, there's so little that changes now between phone generation to generation that the iOS feels like the real upgrade now when you can get a new operating system with new features and stuff to play with.
Well, let's come out of that deep dive and out of those weeds by segueing with this. So it's amazing how much a little thing can impact your life. A phone case, for example. So I have tried the purest route and gone sans case. I like looking at I like looking at the phone the way it was designed to be viewed and handled. And then sometimes that scares me because we drop things. And so then I've had cases, and I've had cheap cases, and I've had the $90 OtterBox 3 three separate components that all come together cases. This phone, I'm still rocking a 13. This phone is at the end of its life, and so I wasn't going to spend a lot of money on a quality case. And so I just went to Amazon and grabbed the first $12 phone case I could find. And I have to tell you, it fits the phone better than OtterBox cases that were designed for my phone. I don't even know the brand. Candy Kiss case, all one word, Candy Kiss case. But check it out. There's a little R2D2
Aw,
Candy
look at that.
Kiss case. It hugs the phone so perfectly. The bezel, it's perfect to the rest. It was a $12, probably because it's for a 13 and they're not selling a lot of 13 cases anymore. I'm pretty sure they don't have the license to be able to do the Star Wars character. This company doesn't care.
This is
Honestly,
coming
you
from a
guys,
place where that doesn't matter. So
this is, without exaggeration and without hyperbole, probably the best phone case I've ever had, and also one of the cheapest. So
Beautiful.
you can pick a handful of designs, but isn't it funny how that little thing can make such a difference in your day? Like it feels, I got my own little droid now to go with me everywhere. And he does things for me and talks. And I even have R2D2 beeps and boops when I get text messages. It's the best.
oh,
That's cute.
It's the
that
little
is
things.
cute. That is cute.
So
Yeah, I think the whole case thing is interesting because there's so many options now and they're so cheap. You could buy a half a dozen and swap them out every month just to change the style and then rotate back through because they're a dime a dozen. They're so easy to come by. There's a billion different companies that make them. You can find them in discount bins. And I also feel like because I like feeling the physical phone, the metal and the glass. To me, I like that the textures and the materials they use. I also feel like if you have some kind of insurance, just go without the case if you like to. Just enjoy it. It's all good. I understand some people should always have a case. They instantly break their phones. But and most people probably should. But it's nice. It's nice when you don't have to worry about it and you can just use the device. But the cases are fun. Quirky. R2. Beep boop 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 beep boop boop.
love it.
Poop.
Isn't tech fun, Kendall?
Tech is fun. I enjoy tech as well. I've also been through a lot of case iterations as well as I've tried no case before, kind of like you. That lasted a very short while before like I was just way too nervous about it. And I'm always like, and then I'll go on YouTube and I'll be like, is this a good idea? And I'll watch like the professional YouTubers like talk about why they do or don't do a case. Um, and I see the horror stories. And now that there's, glasses on the back of the phone now, and that can shatter. And there's one famous YouTuber who has a quote that says, "Glass is still glass, and glass breaks." And he every time some major company comes out with a new product, he immediately gets his hands on it and starts doing scratch tests and tear downs and things like that, and shows you, okay, this is what it takes to break this phone. And so I'll go to his videos and he'll show you, yeah, it does break. Watch this. Like, God dang it. I'm going to put a case on that thing. I don't have insurance.
And then you're like, how many hours now have I spent on watching the review and should I or shouldn't I buy a case videos? I'm spending more time watching those than I would if something were to happen, how long it would take me to replace it.
Well, yeah. But I mean, again, I don't have insurance, so that costs money to replace it.
There
and
you
obviously that's the thing I'm trying to avoid.
Makes sense.
Like, it's not about how long it takes to replace it. It's that money doesn't grow on trees.
Amen.
So
speaking of tech and phones, you shared something pretty cool with us when you were splitting your time the other day. The ability that you had to view something while being in a different place. It's in the shared note. You should talk about it. Like a baseball game, like a youth baseball game.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. What are you talking about?
The
I
relief,
have given-
the relief on your face when you like
I was like-
connected, the dots connected was
I've
great.
I've lobbed these softballs now for 3.5 minutes.
Have you? I'm sorry, dude.
It's all good. You got a lot on your mind. I'm trying to
Over
help
the
you
course
out.
of the past minute of you doing that, like my brain went through. Okay, he's talking to me. Figure this out. No, that's not it. He's talking to Dylan. He's talking. So then I'm looking at Dylan, and but Dylan's not responding. I'm like, okay. So then I threw it back to myself. Like, nope. Okay, he is talking to me. What is the thing?
I think the lack of dairy calcium is going to your head.
Exactly. I need dairy to function.
He's a
No,
red light. He's a red light.
So technology entering the world of youth sports, even like super amateur youth sports, is amazing.
Yes.
And it's a way different ball game, pun intended, than it was when we were kids playing sports. And for any of you out there who have coached or have kids playing anytime, I don't even know when this came out, certainly within the last 10 years. But like it started last year with having my kids play soccer, and then the coach was like, everybody has to download this app. It's the only way we're going to communicate. To which I rolled my eyes and was like, I don't want another app. Just send text messages and emails like you've been doing. And then I get the app and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. I can see the whole team. I can contact the coaches and other players, send out a thing, create a parent snack thing list schedule. You can keep tabs on the games and the records and see all of your scheduling. And any parent who has the app can just turn on their phone and start recording the game. And now any parent who's not there can log into the app and watch the game. And so that was true for soccer. And then Isaac started baseball, and the baseball app is even cooler. For free, you get all of that stuff. Plus, if you pay, which I haven't yet, you can they keep track of stats. And so for each team, there's somebody who's logging every single play. Like the app already knows because somebody fed it what the lineup is. It knows who's up. And then you just say single or, single to first, it stole second. You just, every time something happens, you record it like a baseball nerd does anyway. And then it keeps track of all that stuff. If I paid for it, I could look at Isaac's stats from last year. And they use these stats perpetually to try to create even teams from season to season. So kids who are returning, they have stats, and the coaches do a draft kind of thing so that you don't end up with like a monster of a team and then a team full of newbies who don't know what they're doing. It's a great idea. And then you can watch like video replays, play by play. If you want to, they have just like watching on TV where you have like the box score at the top of the screen. Yeah. And it gives you the game situation. There's my boy, Ayla, up number 98, 1-for-1. This was his second at bat, which he ended up striking out on that one. No, he didn't. He walked on that one. So he went 3-for-3 on that game. I got to watch all of them. It was remarkable because I was sitting there at the soccer game. My wife was at the baseball game, and the person who was in charge of the app at the baseball game sets up a camera, attaches it to the chain link fence, puts a battery on it, and then just lets it go. And it's amazing what technology has done for youth sports. My mind is still blown by the whole
It's
thing.
so handy. We've been using those for a while. And I also love the real-time chat from either players or parents going, we have the address for the school, but which field are we at? Field 7? Okay. Or hey, are we flipping our jerseys to the white side or the color side for all that little stuff? Sometimes it can be annoying. Some coaches love to be in there and post multiple times a day. So you have to turn off notifications. Looking at you, cross-country coach. But it's so handy, those apps. It's great. I love it.
The timing of that was so funny too, because my wife is a volleyball fan, and Finley, our daughter, did a volleyball camp this summer. So we went to do some kind of go to this game, and at halftime or in between the games, they'll do a bring out the kids that did camp and they can come wave and do a tunnel for the older kids, yada, yada, yada. So, anyways, we stayed for the varsity game because we were watching it, which was a really tight game. And it's best of 5, and it went down to the 5th game, but we had to get a kiddo home because it was getting late. So we left, and on the way home, Brie already has it streaming on her phone, watching the game that we just left because it went down to the 5th set or whatever, and walking into the house on the phone, going to get kiddo ready for bed on the phone. It's even got it's like a high angle from the gym to be able to see everything, and then it's even in the corner has the little scoreboard so you can still see like the home and away score while you're watching, and was able to watch it until it was done and then go right back to whatever we were doing. So just little stuff like that is crazy. And then obviously that on top of all the normal stuff, like I load my daughter's lunch money through an app and then she scans something at school and they pay that way. And so I'm sure that's normal for other parents, but it's just all this stuff you're just getting to all at the same time and realizing what's possible. And it's fun. Makes it really cool.
Sherry and I's nephew was on an intramural curling team when he went to the University of Denver, and we got to watch his curling matches
Intramural, no less. Yeah.
from the comfort of our own home, streaming live, watching Joseph curl. It was pretty great.
You know, I remember, so I used to, before COVID, I used to run a basketball thing at our church, just an open gym. We did a tournament once a year. And during those open games, one of the guys, his boy played lacrosse at, I want to say it was Capital. I don't remember where it was, but no, it wasn't Capital. That was a different person. Anyway, I was playing lacrosse, and he was always wanting to watch these games. And so like I would hook his phone up to our system and put his game on our projectors. And so like we're playing basketball and like we're all rooting in this lacrosse game as well. Like when we're able to pay attention to it, it's fun. So
Good times.
very cool stuff.
You know what else is cool? This next podcast you're going to hear from in Odd Pods Media.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus Beth Gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
So Bree told me about an exchange with a mom and a daughter. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it was a video on social. I don't know. That part doesn't matter. Anyways, the mom is telling the daughter, hey, you should check out such and such on Pinterest. And this is a young daughter goes, what's Pinterest? Which feels weird because it's been very popular for a long time. And the mom shows the daughter Pinterest and she's like, you got to get on Lemonade. Had no idea.
Lemon 8.
Lemon and then the number 8. So like lemon 8. And so Bree showed me the app and I looked at it. It looks just like Pinterest. I don't know why we needed it. It's a solution to a problem that didn't exist. There was already a thing that did that. But it's basically Pinterest kind of mixed with Instagram, I guess. So it's slightly different, but I don't know why you need two things that do one thing, I guess, that does two things, but then you got a new platform. The point is I'm old and I don't keep up. We are far removed from TikTok. I know there are some shows in the podcast network that do TikTok. I know it's really popular. I'm already assuming that something newer than TikTok is already becoming more popular because I feel like I've heard of TikTok. So if I've heard of it, there's probably something newer that I'm unaware of. Have you guys heard of Lemonade? Do you know if there's anything newer than TikTok? And what else should I be aware of? I feel like we need to play a little catch up. Maybe the listeners need to weigh in. I'd never even heard of that app, of course.
You're asking the wrong people, I think, buddy.
Yeah, we're 40.
We're 40. I never got into the Pinterest.
I know, but both of you have kids that are a little older than mine. So I thought maybe with teenagers, or maybe there's like a thing on an iPad that they're doing with their friends from sports and other activities and things. I thought maybe you'd know.
So Be Real seems to be popular with the Gen Zers.
What is
I've
that?
talked about Be Real before. You guys didn't seem interested then. I still do it from time to time. That one's more of a gimmick. So Be Real, if you didn't listen to that episode where we covered it, is an app where once a day, once in a 24-hour period, typically during the waking hours of whatever time zone you're in, you get a notification. And you have 2 minutes to be real. You have 2 minutes to show your friends on the app what you're doing real time. And it takes a picture from both screens. So it'll take a picture of you and of whatever you're doing. If you retake the photo because you're vain and want to get a better angle and don't want the double chins, it'll say, Corey did 1 retake, or Corey did 3 retakes, or Corey did 7 retakes. You can't see other people's Be Reels until you've posted yours. So you'll see everyone you follow, but theirs are blurred out until you've shared yours. If you don't do it inside of the 2 minutes, that's also fine. It's just a clue. You weren't being really real, were you? You were 7 minutes late and you waited until you were in a much cooler or whatever spot. So it'll say
like
Corey
not
posted,
naked, like
or not naked. Fine. So it'll say Corey posted 5 minutes late and had 3 retakes. Um,
This doesn't feel like an app built for the Midwest, is what I'm hearing. This seems like the coasts or major cities, cooler cities, Europe. This
I
doesn't
think some of the fun of that one and the way that I see my nephews and kids use it is like they're actually proud of the mundane parts of their life. Like they're in the cafeteria with a face by their chalky milk or whatever. It's like the cool thing is to show how regular your life can be, as opposed to Instagram, which is just your highlight reel or whatever. So I think so that one seems popular, but it's interesting about Pinterest that we've used that with each of our kids, well, really our girls, because our son doesn't have a phone yet. That's kind of their gateway to social media. We let them use Pinterest as the first social app that they get, usually under the guise of, like, Chloe, for example, is watching these little reels about craft projects or little paintings or drawings. But because you can't really chat and interact with comments and stuff. It's more about just seeing singular images and memes and things that are funny and reels. So we've kind of allowed them to use Pinterest as their like gateway app, and then they graduate to Instagram if they've proven that they can be trusted with Pinterest. Then you unlock Instagram.
Well, apparently you just need to give them one app to replace both. Is what I'm hearing, and Lemonade is where it's at.
Lemonade is it. There's another one. It's another one of those, like, you only can interact with your friends. Everybody else is blocked off. We like those because it keeps the weirdos at bay. But yeah, there's a difference in knowing it exists and doing it and participating. So it's like, as long as you kind of understand, oh, isn't that like one where you got to take a photo in 2 minutes? Then you're in the know without having to play along, and you still seem cool-ish.
Makes sense. Good to
But
know. If
Lemonade is new to me.
if any listeners have any tips on apps that we shouldn't be on, or maybe we should, it's okay to tell us. But be like, but you're too old, so don't download it. But it is there, and you should be aware of it. I'd be
You guys
interested.
remember when I was stoked about Clubhouse?
mm-hmm.
I think that's like all but dead now. I hadn't logged in months, and I went in, and there's like, there's no more like general topical chat rooms, audio chat rooms. It's all like, what would you like to talk about? And you list, like, here's what I'm interested in talking about at a given moment. See my shaky hands? It's doing it. It's doing the thing. So you click it, and whoever happens to have also clicked that topic at that moment in time who's live on the app, you can go into a room and talk about that thing with a stranger. So they've reduced it from, probably based on usage, from these big rooms where we're talking about generative AI today, or smart vehicle or EVs, electric vehicles, or whatever. Now it's like, let's see who's on the app that also wants to talk about wellness, and we'll throw you in a room. And if you don't like that person, you can back out. But that was a thing.
What if you don't like any people? What do you do then?
You turn your red robot light on and you crawl into a cool dark room and live on.
Use your phone for beep boop beeps and games and not
That's right.
for social media. Yeah, that's funny. Speaking
Or you
of
watch YouTube videos about phone reviews. I'm watching YouTubers build cabins like crazy these days.
that's cool.
It's interesting.
All kinds of good stuff on the YouTubes.
Off-grid cabins. Watching people build off-grid cabins, turns out, time lapses, is really fun for me.
Yeah, I've been trying to spend some time today answering the question of whether or not you should use vinegar when poaching an egg.
And
So,
what are the pros and cons? Let's talk about this.
I tried to come up with something mundane that wouldn't require any follow-up, but since you asked.
Nope. So anyway.
Do you think anybody's ever asked the pros and cons of poaching an egg before?
Oh, I'm not the first. There's plenty of YouTube content out there about that topic.
That's fun.
Wow.
It goes. This harkens back to me trying to cook my egg every morning without butter.
Got it.
Yep.
Getting away from the dairy thing.
Yep.
Contractors just left. You guys, they're killing it. We got textured ceilings now in the basement. They did their final coat of mudding. It's now sanded. While they were here, they're also replacing an old, nasty sliding door. Gave us these beautiful French doors that open to the backyard. And
beautiful.
A kid's upstairs bathroom that I had told you guys had been leaking when all three kids would shower back to back. It would sometimes leak into our kitchen. That can't be good. They completely pulled that out, pulled the tub, broke up all the tile, and are completely overhauling it. Each day, it's so fun to wait until they leave, to walk through and go, wow, look at what they did today.
That is fun, isn't it?
It is so fun. So we're in week 3 of the mostly basement with a few additional things that we're having them do all their here project. And we're still married. Things are okay. I'm living in this transitory state pretty well. I don't typically do well in a transitory state when things that I'm walking past and around are half done. I kind of want things to just be done. But because it's the basement, I can just choose not to go down there, and it's all great. Build a little shelf for Sherry above her washer dryer for the laundry baskets. I learned how to drill holes into concrete with the proper drill and the proper masonry bit. So doing some man stuff.
Did you get yourself a hammer drill?
Yeah, borrowed one from the contractors.
Nice.
So it's less manly, but I still know what I need, and I still got to use one while he was doing other things. He's like, "Do you want me to get you some of these?" Actually, he used a term for the concrete con zips, or something like a concrete zip screw, basically. He's like, "You need some con zips for that?" It's not the word, but I was like, I think I'll be all right. But yeah, why don't you bring me what it is that you're talking about? And he brought me the hammer drill and the proper bit, the masonry bit, and the proper hex bolt to screw the zip cons. Maybe that was it. Zip cons into the wall. Anyway, they're inspiring me to do manly stuff while they do manly stuff all around me, and I see how well professionals do things. It's exciting times.
That is cool. You know what's really cool with concrete work in basements? Have they done anything where they had to like nail any kind of frame wood to the floor?
Oh yeah.
Did they use like the explosive nailer? Actually gunpowder is involved, I think.
Yeah.
Those are cool. exploding a nail into concrete. I love it.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's just, we've said this 100 times, but it's amazing the difference having the proper tools makes. Trying to use a masonry bit in a concrete wall with your Ryobi regular drill, non-impact drill, is a fool's errand. What are we doing?
Hammer, not impact.
Hammer, yeah, you know what I mean. It's just a regular house homeowner's drill isn't going to work for that. You need to.
I mean, it can eventually. It just won't take.
Takes a long time.
I mean,
Game
it's no garage door bracket, but it sounds like some work. Do you think your transitory comfortability is because you know the people do a good job? Like you don't have to think it's normally you would be seeing whatever the change is and you'd be have to think about it, and you don't even have to think about it. You just know it's under control.
It is that, but like the idea of these adorable couples that start YouTube channels where they bought a turn of the century farmhouse and they're slowly going to renovate it one room at a time and film as they go, that nauseates me. Like I couldn't live in a house where a main room, kitchen, master bedroom, like was being full on remodeled while I was living in it. Because I just see the work to be done and couldn't relax. My anxiety levels, seeing things in a state of undoneness would not work. Easier with a basement. You just don't go down there.
Makes sense.
Indeed.
But and I'm not doing the work. It's not my to-do list. It's somebody else's to-do list, and they're roughly on schedule, and they're just killing it. Doing such a good job. So excited.
I have neighbors who are getting like their entire upstairs like recarpeted, a bathroom redone, and among other things. They rented a house for a few months, like at downtown. Just moved
They're
out
just like
temporarily. Peace out.
Let us know when it's done.
We'll be back in a few months.
Here's the key. Lock it
Yeah.
up. Done. Nice.
If you can do it. So yeah, it's a yes and. It's a little bit that, but it's also just I would just feel I'm in a perpetual state of not being done.
Yeah.
And
now that the bathroom is being worked on and the French doors, are you like trying to find other things that you're like, what are now other small things they can do while they're here? Are you
don't need to try to find them. They're already there, but they're way less serious than a leak in your floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought, because we had the last 90-degree days this past weekend, as you guys know, here in Ohio. And so it's time to close the pool. It's always a sad time to close the pool for the year. And I'm kind of like, once that's done, and I don't have that regular maintenance, chemicals and getting the skimming the leaves out and cleaning the skim. Once that's done and this basement's done, what am I going to do with all this time? So, yeah, it's a sad time to have to close the pool, but there's a lot to enjoy this winter now. And things are tidy and organized. I'm sure listeners are tired of me here talking about this, but it just feels so good to just. It's good.
Totally get it. We did lots of cleaning over the weekend. Just little stuff like we've been in our house a little over 2 years now, and the big thing was prepping for the garage sale, which we talked about in the summer, getting stuff out of the storage. The storage is not clean, but it cleared a lot of space, which helps us move things around in other spaces, because now that things are better organized in the storage, now we can move stuff to where things go. And we just went back through 3 or 4 rooms of just, purging just stuff that got put in the right rooms in the last 2 years, but maybe weren't organized as well as they should have been. So some stuff moved around, but mostly it was just like, okay, this has been sitting here for 18 months. We don't need this anymore. Out, gone.
Yep.
So it makes a big difference. You're almost giddy when you can just walk by and know that it's complete and organized. It's a little bit that, yeah.
And even the first round of like consolidating things to one tote instead of 3 storage totes, selling this, donating this. Sherry was like, you realize we could do a whole other round of that now in the storage room with all the totes. Like we could consolidate even more and get rid of more stuff.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Do that. Do that. Yeah.
And
I
there's
see.
there's kind of a benefit of going like, we literally can't keep any more stuff in the basement now because too many areas have been finished. So
Yeah.
it's a forcing function to go, what do you absolutely want to bring back down in here? You better really like it.
Mhm.
Yeah. You don't even have to do the KonMari thing. Somebody else said do the poop test, which is if that thing was covered in poop, would you go through the effort of washing and cleaning it to keep it, or would you just throw it out? So that might be even a more stringent test that you can run with things in your home. Give it the old theoretical poop test.
Mhm.
Or a very practical version and go to Taco Bell and
Yeah.
make it happen.
Exactly.
That used
Yeah.
to be a really cheap way to do that, but to your inflation point, I don't know if that's as
Yeah.
cost effective as it used to be, but still
Wow.
worth considering. So there's that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I've got a question. Is this going to be a new thing now where you guys put my name next to things in the shared note and make me talk about them, or
Yeah, I think we should.
because there's
I'm
was AI is meh in the shared note? Was that in there before we started this conversation, or was that added recently?
It's been in there the whole time.
It's been in there the whole time. Okay.
We don't have to
Yeah.
talk about it, but it's been in
Well.
there the whole time. You made that comment in our text thread.
Yeah. I forget what I said. Like, forget AI. It's a. There's a. I had read that Apple in their iOS is preparing for some AI integration into the operating system, and apparently a lot of people assumed or thought that that was going to be part of iOS 18, which it wasn't. But apparently the framework is there for it, and so like I thought, because I had read about it, like I had thought that this was relatively common news that people were excited about Apple AI, and but so my sentiment was like, there's all these cool little gadgets and gadgets that we have. I don't care about the lack of AI capabilities. But now that the note says AI is meh, there's some, like all things AI, I'm sure there's countless applications and varying degrees of quality. But when I'm looking at like AI advertisements from companies that are like trying to make Kelly Clarkson sell weight loss drugs and things of that nature, and I think to myself, like, AI has a long way to go to be convincing. Now maybe there's stuff out there that is convincing, but like I've seen like deep fake videos that people like say this is AI, look at how terrible, look at what they're doing. I'm like, there's not a single person who watches that video and doesn't realize it's fake. Am I the only one who feels like AI is like very infantile in a lot of the applications and
I think that I also think because I look at it from from mostly a visual AI generated visuals.
Mhm.
So like here's a great example. Somebody in my on my Facebook friends list posted an image of Adam Sandler as the scientist from Flubber and was like so excited about Flubber 2 featuring or starring Adam Sandler. Hope he does as good as Robin Williams did. Now, I look at a lot of images, create a lot of images. I'm in the business of images and image making, and I've started to pick up telltale signs of like AI generated stuff. It's got some clues now. I've learned which things to watch out for. One great example, an obvious example is it does text and hands really poorly. It just can't. It hasn't figured out the anatomy of hands, and you'll see AI generated images where the people have like 9 fingers on one hand or like thumbs on opposing sides of the hand or whatever. And text, anytime it generates text, it's a little wonky and off, and the letter forms don't make sense. And I have to be the guy that goes like, hey man, this is Flubber 2 is not a real thing. This isn't even coming out. This is a troll Facebook page that has gotten people like you to think that this is real. And then I look like the know-it-all commenting, it's not real, man, AI generated. Like, so in one way, yes, it's very infantile. But in the right use cases, it does a really good job. But I think it's knowing it's the intermediary knowing its strengths and weaknesses and using it accordingly.
Mhm.
Don't ask it to do things that it can't do. Let it do the things that it can do really well.
Sure.
And then it shows up less when people are using it in its right context.
Yeah.
I've seen some videos to your point, Kendall, that like show the progression of AI just in the last like several years. And it in some ways it does seem to be getting like better more quickly than I expected.
Mhm.
But I also think that you also made the point there's a lot of different products that use it, and some of them are just much better than others, and some are much worse than others. And some is free and some is paid, and the paid stuff is usually better, and the free stuff is worse. And then there's also like the visual stuff, and then just the text. Like I use the free version of Chat GPT for things because it's a good way to organize information, text, or come up with written ideas for things. Maybe it's like, hey, give me ideas for 10 college football teams I could create in my video game that are based on Star Wars themes and planets. And then I can just see what it gives me for fun. So I think that's interesting. Probably not a not a hot take. I don't think people are trying to figure out AI to like be the creative thing. I think it should be the mundane thing and not be the creative thing. Let it create a standard operating procedure for your company because you need to outline a bunch of bullet points and do something like that. Let it be the storyboard tool for your thing that you're trying to create something and you just want some ideas. But it shouldn't replace our creativity. It should just replace the mundane work. And I think that's where the value lies. So
I think that's a good distinction.
but like I've seen people use it even with the new college football video game. They've fed it a bunch of stats and data from the game, win loss records, conference rankings, and said, create a bunch of news stories based on all of this information to like build out the world that is their college football dynasty that they're playing. And it'll write like news headlines and create like news write-ups just for fun because they're feeding it years and years worth of their dynasty data just to see what it comes up with for fun. So and people have used it to create logos for their team. So there's all kinds of different applications, but I don't know. I
will say this to tie it back. In the little youth baseball app that we have, it's behind a paywall, so I don't know how good it is. But after each game, there is an AI write up about the game, like an article about the game, and also, again behind the paywall, while you're watching the game, you can have an AI announcer.
Nice.
Interesting.
I'm curious about those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like your distinction, Dylan. The one that I've heard is like if you're going to write a press release or an email, you can say, use this document that I've uploaded and write a 30-word summary in an executive tone, a tone that would be fitting for an executive to read. Let it do the first draft, but you should still do the final pass.
For sure.
And the thing to remember is it's really good at responding to prompts. It doesn't come up with the prompts. Like a logo designer will tell you, what would make a really clever logo for your business because you do X and Y and Z and you're in this part of the country. It'd be really cool if a logo designer is coming up with a concept based on the information that they're receiving, listening to the customer. Gen AI is really good at going, giving me a logo of the word Williams, but Williams is in a script font in green, and it's the blades of grass, and it's made up by blades of grass. Well, it'll do that really well, but what it won't do is have come up with that prompt. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
right.
It still can't do the creative problem solving. It responds really well to prompts and input. So I think that's where I heard Lex Friedman say at the end of his interview with Donald Trump, which was really interesting. He was like talking to a programmer who was really nervous. He's like, I'm afraid Gen AI is going to take my job. And he's like, quit worrying about Gen AI taking your job and figure out how to use Gen AI in your job. Like, figure out how to make it work for you instead of just being afraid that it's this thing that's going to come after you and take your job away. Like, figure out mundane 80% first draft ways for Gen AI to empower you to do your creative problem solving better. So I thought that was interesting. Anyway. Wow. I don't know how we got there, but we sure did. Hey, I've got this whole box of hot sauces, and we need to find a Saturday where we're going to get together, get 40 wings made up for us, toss it in 10 different sauces, and film this thing. So, Midlers, we know that you're waiting for this to happen. We just got to sync schedules, and we're going to make it happen. We're going to do the From the Middle Hot Ones challenge soon. Winter's a great time to do it because if it's cold outside and your mouth is on fire, that feels fitting. So we'll figure it out. We promise we're going to make it soon. In fact, right after this, I'm going to text the guys and try to find a Saturday that works for all of us. But it's been fun hanging out with all of you. Thanks for tuning in. What light are you today, Midler? Are you green? Are you yellow? Are you red? It's okay. All of it's okay. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Go to rdsman.com, fill your cart with amazing men's grooming products, and you'll be glad you did because it's really good stuff and it smells amazing. Use promo code The Middle at checkout. That's The Middle, all one word, all caps in the promo box there in the checkout area. Field thing, droppy downy thing, The Middle, all one word. You'll get 25% off your first order. All subsequent orders will be accredited to our referral. So it helps us, it helps you, it helps them. RDS Man's great stuff. And Jeff is a great guy over there who runs it. Locally made, all natural products, good for your face and beard hairs. And fellas, anything else?
No, sir.
I think that's it. Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday morning. Bye.